Hey, welcome to the Truth About Real Estate. I'm your host, Matthew Ma, and today we are excited to have new guests here. We're going to be talking about real estate investing, how to use other people's monies, and how to begin and invest in your community with Kyara Gray and Khalil Uqdah. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, first off, tell us about Charm City Buyers and then how that came to be.
Yeah, so we started investing about 10 years ago, fresh out of college, really looking for how can we transition out of, focusing on, at that time, the conversation was around whether or not you're going to be able to get Social Security by the time it was, for us to retire. And so we decided to take a little bit more control over what that was and what that was going to look like for us. And decided after some toiling that real estate was going to be that spot for us. And so over the years, really being focused on not only just investing and trying to build wealth and buy properties, but how do we really invest in communities and how do we make sure that we're adding value in these communities in which we're investing. So we are diehard about Baltimore, Maryland. Khalil's born and raised in Baltimore.
Nice.
And that's where we've placed our roots on how we've been able to, build wealth through real estate, but also really impact the community as a result.
That's a big goal and really ambitious, and definitely, helping to improve the community and add value. And you guys look pretty young too. And you started a couple years ago. You said like 10 years?
Yep, about 10 years
right
ago.
Out of college, fresh out of college.
Yeah, we were a couple months out of graduating college before we bought our very first deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing, because most people out of college don't start to jump into real estate that easily, and then to buy your first place as well out of college, that takes a lot of work. How did you even get started to think about doing real estate? Like, was it before college, in high school? How did you get started?
Yeah, so for Kyara, it was before college. She can talk on that. For me, entrepreneurship was always the path.
Yeah.
Like, period. At no point in my life did I think that I was going to climb the corporate ladder, that I plan on staying at a job for the rest of my life, the retirement, like none of that kind of resonated with me. I always knew that some kind of ownership, some type of entrepreneurship was going to be the path. So when Kyara presented real estate, like, checks a lot of boxes for me, mm-hmm. Wealth, community, residual income, all those good things. Cool, let's do it.
Yeah. And so for me, I was that kid that was young and I'm like, Mom, we should buy that house, or, talking about stocks, being way too young to be talking about stocks. And so one of my goals when I was younger, probably around 12, 13, was to start investing in real estate after I graduated college. It didn't really make sense when I talked about it with family. And so at that time, it was really, about when I got to a certain point, that was a goal that I had set for myself.
Nice. That's a good goal. And I don't think most kids want to talk about real estate when they're like 12, 13 years old and start thinking about, hey, let's buy this house. Like,
yeah,
even why? And then were your parents in real estate before? Or
No, not at all. So I grew up in Pennsylvania, in like a farm town, rural Pennsylvania. And so as I grew up, I watched farmland get sold and turned into housing, new construction housing. And so that process was always really interesting to me. And then I think around that time, at some point, like HGTV was like a brand new network. Like, so I was just kind of out of that time period, and watching those transformations just always really, really excited me. And so that's what spurred that whole conversation into, wanting to actually invest. And in that time, I was probably thinking more so about being an agent or just being in the real estate industry. And then it grew into actually, not only just investing in real estate, but becoming a developer in real estate 10 years later.
Nice. That's a lot of work. And then going back to that too, like when you started thinking about it, were your parents like helping you? Would they say, why are you even thinking about that? You're too young, or like, like telling you like, go get a job. Don't think about real estate. It's too hard. It's too much risk.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So, what's funny? We didn't tell our parents at first for those exact reasons. Like, we didn't want any kind of negative energy coming toward us. We wanted to just keep it tight and like make it happen. My thought process was like, okay, we're young enough where if we bump our head and we mess up and this is catastrophic, that's fine. We can always rebound. We're in our early 20s, so it's fine. Right. But what we did not want our friends and family who had never been in a space, never pushed themselves past those limits to tell us that we can't.
Yeah, and they probably would have been supportive, but to Chloe's point, right, you can only really see and understand what you've seen before. And so Chloe and I, we knew we didn't need any help to be scared, right? You usually don't need help to have fear about trying to do something new or hit new levels or go to new heights. And so we decided to really keep that, keep those dreams, right? Someone said you don't want to tell big dreams to small minds. And so we wanted to keep those big dreams between us so that we could manage our own fear between the two of us, versus adding on all of that additional, thoughts. But to that point though, because a lot of people getting into real estate, they might have friends or family or someone that's kind of footing the bill. For us, it was really bootstrapping and getting creative and really digging deep into accomplishing our goals. Because usually, fresh out of college, folks don't have a whole lot of cash, and we weren't that different. We just knew that we had a goal and we're willing to do what we had to do to make it happen.
How do you guys especially if you're coming out of college and you're going to say, hey, I need a job, I need money, I'm living at home, for example, and then you start thinking about real estate, and you're going to figure out, okay, how do I buy real estate? And you're just coming out of college, where's the money coming from? How do you even get a house? How did you learn about the real estate aspect, the financials, the loan qualifications, or even using other people's money? How did you guys think about that? Mentors, coaches, online?
Yeah, so at the time we were kind of figuring out what direction we wanted to go as far as kind of getting out of or creating new options, new streams of income. And so we would go to where people were having those conversations. So we would go to the real estate association meetings. We'd be able to listen into those conversations to start learning and understanding concepts and getting comfortable with terms, at least at a high level. And then at that time, because we had set that goal and decided that we were going to do something together, we also at that time were starting to save to get married. So there was kind of that piece of it as well, where I had a roommate. So I was, not spending top dollar to be able to save. Khalil graduated college and moved back home with his parents to be able to really save and put money aside. And that actually became the seed money for our very first deal. So our first deal we had found online through an online auctioneer, and we had saved up, it was $26,000 cash, and we had saved up probably like 29, and decided to go all in.
Wow.
To kind of learn and put things into action right on the dot.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice. We just, with that much cash dumped into the first project, it's like, all right, well, time to figure it out.
We win or we win, right? There is no losing.
That's pretty tough and scary. And I'm glad you guys had each other and you found each other, because actually it's really hard to find a partner who's going to have the same kind of mindset and goals and vision and the risk tolerance to do it and say, hey, this is our money. This is what we got after college. You're going to take a risk and do it. And that's not easy to find a partner to do that at all,
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
Yeah. You guys read each other well. You guys understand each other, and you guys are willing to take it together, like ride or die together, right? Basically, that's the best way to do it, because really, you're helping each other too.
Yeah, and we were really intentional about that conversation too. So as a couple, when we sat down and we mapped out what is it that I wanted to do and saw for myself and what I wanted to accomplish as an individual, him the same thing, and we sat down and mapped out, okay, well, if we're going to get married, we're going to do this thing long term, what does that look like together? And so those conversations happened before we decided what we were doing with the money, or before we probably even talked about how much each other had in the bank in the first place. Yeah. We talked about what it was that we were looking to do and accomplish together. And so as we've gone through the ebbs and flows of business, as well as the ebbs and flows of marriage, we've always had kind of a set goal and vision for where we were headed, and constantly try to stay on top of each other as we've all kind of, you evolve in your 20s, right? So evolving that mission and that vision together. But yeah, we were very intentional about having those conversations up front so that it made the rest of that journey a whole lot smoother.
Yeah, we sat down, we did a vision boards, we set up conversation, we had late night conversations, early morning conversations. Yep. And it was never about oh, this job sucks. It was always okay, this is a means to an end, right? We're going to use this to get to our next level, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Very nice. I got to ask you about that because I know a lot of people out there have that issue of like being really open and having deep conversations with their other partner. And it's hard because you don't want to step on each other's toes. You're not 100% sure. Even if you're getting married, some people just like, I don't want to really talk about money, financing, risk. And how do you clearly communicate with the other person? They might not be as receptive as you two are, but how can you help them open the dialogue to say, hey, I really want to get into investing. I want to get to real estate passive income. How do you help them? What can you say to them?
I think one thing that I do, especially when we're talking to some of the couples that we work with who are investing in real estate, we talk about really being open about your goals. When you kind of back into your overall goals, a lot of the rest of the conversation just kind of comes out a little bit more naturally. When you ask someone, okay, well, what do you have in the bank and what's your credit score? that can kind of close you up a little bit. But when you can open up to say, what are your dreams and your visions and your goals for yourself? And then where are you in the process of making those things happen? Finances and credit are part of that discussion. And so for us, and especially kind of growing up in our different households and things like that, we both grew up with both of our parents. We were able to identify the both the challenges and the benefits of how you communicate together. And I think we did a pretty good job of early on deciding what we wanted to do and what we didn't want to do in a relationship, and knowing that communicating proactively was going to help us a whole lot more along the way than trying to figure it out and catch up later on, which I think is what a lot of people end up doing and end up getting kind of jammed up in the process.
That's hard because even partnerships like business partners, or even like, some people say, hey, I'm all about corporate jobs. And some people say I'm entrepreneurs. That's really hard too. A corporate person and an entrepreneur, they don't really align too well because I like my stable income. I like my benefits. I like my vacation, sick days. You don't have any of that. And you're working 100 hours. Why are you doing that? You're making less money. You're paying money out and you're creating this. But to get over the fear, the space, and one of it could be just because of love and care. They don't want to see you fail or, see you work so hard. And I understand that, but it's also like as an entrepreneur, you're like, you can do so much more if you put your heart to it, and you might fail, but hopefully you're learning quickly enough to succeed. And it takes time, sometimes even 10 plus years, but they don't want to see that pain, right? Or some of them might not want to be along with the ride with you for that pain.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, it's hard to find a good partner, whether it's a romantic partner or platonic, doesn't matter. But as soon as you find somebody who resonates with you with the end goals, I think that's a really good point. Then like stick with it and go through it. I think at the end of the day, we wanted positive impact on the world. We wanted to build wealth, and we wanted to be able to pass something on. Like those are very, very broad ideas. It can apply to just about anything, and real estate just happens to be the path to help us get there.
Yeah. And we've spent a lot of time too getting to know each other so that when you try to come in with someone, we both have those similar goals and we're both entrepreneurial and we're working together. And so a lot of times people think about how that can create conflict, which we're married and we do business together. There is that sometimes, right? There's plenty of time for that. But we also are able to fill in each other's weaknesses and balance each other's strengths and hold each other accountable in ways that we wouldn't be able to with other partners. And so now it's part of the culture of our household. Like this is just what we do. Our daughter is about to be 8 years old. She is in the office just as often as we are and can really run down a contractor on if they're on time or not on time just as well as we can. But it's just the culture. Like that is what one of the foundations on which we decided to build our entire household.
That's amazing too. And it's always great to teach kids about financing, real life real estate investing, and start them at a young age. I'm starting my kids as babies. I'm reading real estate to them just so they understand it and pick it up because it matters. You need real financial literacy, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Good. I'm glad. And then you guys mentioned too early on when you started, like, did you guys become agents at all, or you just went straight to investing?
So I did end up going to get my my real estate license, taking a real estate class. It was, again, one of those kind of goals, checklist items. I think also I was trying to get out of the house. I had just had Michaela. She was an infant, so I was able to leave. It was a little bit of self-care in there as well. But I did go and take the classes and get my license.
Okay, nice. Do you guys still have your licensing? Are you using it?
I have it. I don't like represent buyers and sellers at this point. Never really did. I just had it for ourselves, but
Nice.
yeah, I do still have it licensed.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can use it for yourself and buy and sell, invest. And then you guys invest in your own real estate deals. You
Yeah.
mentioned too, like community. Like, why does building a community matter? Is that people? Some people just focus on just building the real estate themselves, and like, how does the community part play into it?
I think generally speaking, it's important to lift as you climb and be able to always think about those who want to come along you and think about the trailblazing efforts that you're doing. So for us, it was, for me, I should say specifically, it was always like, I've always, it was like ingrained into me by my parents, by other members of the community to always look out for the community. Don't just make it and then leave. Make sure you come back and pull a few people with you type of thing. So when I had the chance and the opportunity with Kyara to say, okay, how do we pay it forward? How do we lift as we climb? How do we make sure that we're not the only ones? Because at the end of the day, yes, it's great to impact yourselves. It's great to impact the community, but it's like we have a kid too. We want Michaela to have friends that she can play with and talk about real estate with and have a good time with and grow old with. So we have to build that. Right, we got to make sure that we're positioning her for her next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really important for me when we think about Baltimore and the cities like Baltimore, there's so many instances of investors and developers kind of coming in and doing their thing and making their money and moving on. But there is this trail of residents who have lived there forever, or community members who have been part of these areas forever and no longer feel like they're part of this space. And so something that's always been really important to myself and Chloe as well is how we invest in real estate, how we think about these communities and neighborhoods. I'll never forget the very first deal that we did. Originally, we had planned on wholesaling it. That fell through. We figured out we had to do it on our own. And part of the reason that fell through was because the reputation of the neighborhood in which we were investing. And people just did not see, regardless of what the numbers were, and the numbers were tight and really good, they did not want to go into this area in this neighborhood. And we said, well, wait, there's value here as well. And so that set the foundation for us to think about how do we go in and invest in these historically disinvested or overlooked neighborhoods and spaces, because these properties not only have value, so do these communities. And we don't need to have, vacant and derelict properties in these neighborhoods when there's folks who not only care about turning those vacant houses into homes, but also thinking about the people who live in them and who have lived in them in the past and who live next door. And so that's something that's always been really important to us when we talk about investing in real estate, is also thinking about the communities in which we're investing and how we're adding value to those people and those places and those properties.
And what's funny, as we continue to do more and we like focus on mission driven and community, more opportunities present themselves.
Yeah.
Whether it's permanently affordable housing, working with nonprofits, whether it's providing construction job opportunities for folks who live in the area, whether it's providing opportunities for people to participate financially in projects. Like, it's just like we realize that there's so much more that we can do, and we take pride in being able to do it.
Yeah.
That's really cool because, for example, I know some friends in the Bay Area who kind of do that too. They look at community as an aspect of real estate investing and fix and flips. By doing that too, like, you actually can build a really strong community of investors, people who will get down and dirty with you and help do the remodeling, learn about it, go find deals, put it together with you. You find other people who are sellers who say, hey, they haven't honestly taken care of the place. They need to sell it. They'll reach out to you first because they know that you're a great investor who's just not fix and flip profits. You're actually trying to create a community. The long-term effect of that too is that you're helping your next generation of Michaela and the kids grow up to a nice community, and you're improving it, the area, the housing, the quality, the materials and everything. And by doing that too, if you think super long-term, like, hey, walk around. Hey, over the years, our generation helped create this community. We actually built it. We helped buy, sell it, renovate it. And you walk down, like, it'd be amazing if you say, hey, this whole community was created by us one day, right?
Exactly.
How cool is that?
It's such an amazing opportunity, like, to go and walk down the streets and the blocks and know that we did that, or we spurred that development, or all of our mentees across the city, thinking about how many, properties that they've done that we've had a part in transforming to help really write our own chapter in the history of Baltimore. Like, that's amazing every single day to humble yourself and know that you have that impact or the opportunity to make that level of impact.
Exactly. If you could do block by block over time and change the community, change the businesses, help the businesses grow, more people come into it, like that's one of the best things. It's kind of like Monopoly in real life, but not about the money part. It's about the community part of things.
Absolutely.
That change and improving it, and hopefully, just helping everyone create more jobs, more people to be there, and just make it better schools, better everything, right?
Absolutely. Exactly.
That's a lot of fun. And you mentioned mentees too. That's even better too, because now you're teaching others to do the same and leading and learning by example. People see you and you partner with them to do the deals, and it just changes the dynamic of Baltimore and makes it better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Our mentees are able to learn from our successes and our challenges and the hard work we put into building our team and understanding these resources and understanding how to navigate the city so that they can invest themselves, really better, faster, and smarter than we did, right? So that they can spend their energy on growing their own portfolio and really being able to find success rather than trying to, flutter through just figuring it out in the School of Hard Knocks, especially knowing how expensive the School of Hard Knocks really is when you've kind of come in and figured it out on your own. And so we've been able to streamline that process, knowing how important Baltimore is into, building community and building real estate and building wealth. So with what we're doing with our mentees, we're really creating that process where more people can find success more often with a whole lot less headaches. And so that's really the goal.
Let's talk about that too. Like, how did you first start off getting educated in the real estate aspect of investing? Like, you guys started young, but how did you get started? Like, what did you do to learn about it really, like deeply?
Yeah, so we learn by doing. So we had to learn, like, literally, when I say the School of Hard Knocks, like literally the School of Hard Knocks. We were, fresh out of college. We didn't know much about anything at the time. And so we had to learn by going through the process, by making mistakes, by learning from them and doing better the next time. And so, that process was very interesting early on. I always say our very first deal, we made every mistake, or came through every challenge that you could possibly think of, but also learned so many lessons that funneled into all the deals that we did thereafter. The difference between us and everyone else who learns without mentors or coaching or whatever else is that we didn't quit, right? Like there is no other magic sauce other than we leaned in to continue versus quitting and deciding to just go back to work.
Just consistently solutions oriented, like focusing on our why. That was huge. Freedom, wealth, all those good things, community impact, and just like putting our head down and knowing that, okay, you build a wall one brick at a time. So just like one brick at a time, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned why. So you mentioned freedom, passive income. What else? Like, what is your why?
Community impact, freedom.
Our daughter, right? Making sure that the community that she grows in reflects her and that she, is surrounded by people who understand, building wealth, who look like her, where she's empowered to be her very best self. That's a huge one. And I think part of it, at some point, we also had a shift into just normalizing young, investors of color specifically doing this and doing it well and doing it with intention. I think that I'm quick to say that we're not unicorns. It's just that we had the audacity to lean in and really push forward to get things done in times when a lot of people would have allowed fear to hold them back. And so that's something that's really, really important to us, is that we show that, not only our successes, and of course, we've been blessed to have them, but also the challenges that led to those successes along the way, so that folks are able to learn from those failures. We can actually turn them into something because they're painful during the time. When you're learning, you got the crappy contractor or the deal that wasn't as great as you thought it was. But being able to take those lessons and be able to leverage them so someone else doesn't have to learn the hard way is a really great thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one thing we talked about here is your why. Does the why really matter? People always say, like, I don't have time to think about my why. I just do it, right?
It matters, right?
Absolutely.
The why is so important.
Critical.
Mindset is at least 50% of the journey, if not more.
Yes.
If not more, definitely more. I think it's
probably
more.
like 90, like 80, 90%. Like it's big. And that's still kind of going back to us having that thing to look forward to as a couple or as a unit, and the things that we look forward individually. Those are all our whys, those things that pull you through the process when you're having challenges, to make sure that you're, staying focused on your goals and, pushing through those hard times. So
Yeah, when you understand your why, you'll push through faster and you'll get through anything because you understand it. But if you don't understand it, you're kind of just going by ear and just going. You're never getting to where you really want to go, your maximum potential, because you don't understand the why, right?
Absolutely.
And
Intentionality is critical.
And the beautiful thing is, like, over the years, the why shifts, right? It always kind of stays on one path, but you may be a little bit off just every now and then. It changes, it shifts, but your why is what keeps you going. And until you find that why that allows you to run through a wall and get through anything at all, it's hard. It's really hard because there are tough days.
Even for you too, when each of you understand both of each other's why, you'll push each other even harder to make sure you both help each other, because you don't want either of you to fail. So you understand it. But when people don't say it, they don't understand it, they don't think about it, then they never get there and they're not held accountable to it, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Writing stuff down, vision boarding, all of those things are really, really important to have that connection, making it real, making it tangible, so that you're able to revert back to that when you have those challenging moments, and when you have like those really high highs, to understand that, there's another level that you need to be heading towards to keep you focused on those big goals.
Yeah, I can't believe how much that mindset, that vision helps, and putting it down on paper actually works. And people need to do more. People need to be open to doing it. I see a lot of people say they don't do any of them. Like, okay, well, you're never going to be where you want to be unless you actually do it. You got to change your mindset to do it, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
What are some of the biggest early mistakes or things you learned or share with others, like stories of things, challenges that you've gotten through, especially in the early days? Like, what did you learn?
Yeah. So all about how you're building your team. Like, your team's critical in real estate, right? And so really being intentional about hiring slow and firing fast, and how you're managing your contractors and building a bench, making sure you have options when it comes to who's on your team and who you're working with. We do very large construction jobs, so there's always something going on. So building that bench, having the audacity to ask in real estate is really important. So asking for whatever it is that you want, or asking to be able to creatively finance the deal. Maybe you're asking the seller to seller finance. Maybe you're asking to negotiate a little bit more. So having that audacity to ask has been a really big lesson for us as well.
Yeah. And just like following the formula. It's fun to be creative. It's great to be creative, and you can hit home runs. But at the end of the day, real estate is a numbers game, right? Do the numbers work? Yes or no? Okay, if yes, move forward. If no, don't move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, take emotions out.
You're absolutely right. That finding the numbers, making sure it works, and then moving forward, even double checking the numbers with trusted people who actually did it before.
Yep.
And then finding a team that you can work with. And I think the challenge for a lot of people right now is like, how do I find a team? What do I do? What do I say? How do I vet them? How do I actually trust them?
Yeah, and that's challenging if you haven't done it before. We like to tell people, like, if you've got an opportunity, a project, a house, like, walk through it with at least three contractors of a trade. So 3 electricians, 3 plumbers, 3 generals, just to kind of get a well-rounded picture, ask questions, take the knowledge that you learn from one, take it to the second, take the knowledge from the first and the second, talk to the third person, and just kind of continue to grow and continue to evolve as much as possible.
Yeah. And the other hack I think a lot of people don't take advantage of as much as they should is the going to where contractors are, right? So if you go early morning to Home Depot or Lowe's, so before, if they're most guys are at the job site by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Who's there waiting for the doors to open, right? Those are the folks who are making sure they're getting prepared, they're getting ready for their day nice and early. So those are really great indicators. When you're driving around and you see different construction trucks, pull over, right? If you're about to do a job, and go take a look and get some business cards. Like, those are always great hacks to finding contractors that seem like they'd be really great.
And not just Home Depot. Go to Sherwin-Williams for a painter. Go to the lumber yard for lumber, like a framing contractor, like make sure you go to those places.
Yeah.
That's really important too, because even like nowadays, it's so crazy over here, especially like all the contractors are super busy. They're all booked out. All the materials are kind of going down, limited. Cost is going up. How do you find good contractors? They all say they're busy. They all don't want to do your small jobs or medium jobs sometimes. And then some of them will come in, do it, and delay the heck out of you, and just demo day one and be gone the next month, right?
Yes.
How do you get over that fear and find the right person to work with?
Yeah, no, right now is definitely a challenge for a lot of folks. I'll tell you one thing that we did. We actually acquired our favorite GC. So we acquired a construction company that we've been working with, to be able to have a little bit more control over our own stuff and this stuff for our mentees. So helping to fill that gap with them, even finding contractors, being able to say, okay, how do we become more of a leader in that space so that we have contractors that can scale and take over the projects and get things done from beginning to end. So that's one way to do it. But when that's not necessarily an option, it is really about building relationships. Again, like hiring slow and firing fast. So making sure that you have those options so that when things do come up, or if someone does disappear or something happens, you have other folks that are ready to go that you can kind of move in their space. And the hardest part of that, and I think this is one of the lessons that we've learned along the way, is making that call sooner, right? And so a lot of times you kind of, well, they said they're going to come tomorrow, or they said they're going to come next week, and maybe they'll be back 2 weeks from then. Well, at that point, you've wasted 6 weeks worth of interest payments or whatever it is. And so really being intentional about making those calls, understanding how to trust your gut so that you can make shifts faster when you need to.
How do you deal with, like, for example, contractors, and you know how each contractor has their own kind of like agreement, but you know, the agreement doesn't say they take any penalties or delays or, you know, things that happen, right? They just do it. But then how do you go about firing them and then recouping? Hopefully you didn't pay too much into each payment, so that way you can just jump to the next contractor.
Yeah, so that's the key, not getting too far ahead on your payments, right? So sometimes you can negotiate the contracts, or you have them sign your own contract, especially if you're doing more and more deals. You can kind of hold them accountable to that a little bit better. But at the very least, if nothing else, don't get too far ahead on your draws. So if your very first draw, sometimes you have folks who are writing 50% of the rehab as the very first draw. Well, the truth of the matter is they need enough to do demo and get a dumpster, right? Like let's chop this up a little bit.
And there's no material cost when it comes to demo, so it's all labor. They're not going to pay their guys before the work's done. So you gotta kind of know what's going on and be able to talk the talk.
Yeah, and that's where mentors come in and coaches come in. Like we had to learn that again the hard way. But nowadays it seems more and more people have resources and access, and now there's YouTube and everything else to be able to help guide you at least a little bit to say, don't get too ahead, because if something happens, that's how you're able to recoup and move more nimbly when you're not too far ahead financially.
Very true. And having mentors and people who have done it before can help you oversee some of it and just give you suggestions really matters, because there's some good contractors and there's some bad contractors, and you don't know who you're getting, and then the pricing can be completely different for the same exact project. If you explain it the exact same way, you'll get 5 different pricings. How do you know who's the best one? And it's really tough. And then the next part is how you know the contracts and if they're good or bad, and if they're in your favor or totally in the contractor's favor. That's scary too. So being open to be working with the right team, the right people to help guide you through it, and mentees and mentors to help matters. Because even for me, when I get quotes for stuff, sometimes I get 5 different quotes. I'm like, I know this guy just selling it, like, and saying he can do all that stuff, but when you look down and dirty, it's not really what it is, right?
Exactly right. You got to take a look at the quote, take a look at the scope, make sure it's all inclusive, everything's in there. Check out the person's quality, go to some of the projects that they have actively, if you can. Now, in this environment, in this space right now, things are moving fast. Contractors are busy. They probably don't have time to have you walk through 3 or 4 different houses and call references and do all those types of things. Still, if you're new, go through your process, right? Make sure that you're going through your process so that you feel comfortable moving forward with a contractor.
That makes sense, because, for example, even though if you want to get in your first deal, you just don't want to jump into it. You want to do your research, get all your team in order in place. I know it's hard to say that because properties are moving, right? But if you don't
Yeah.
understand your team and you just jump in, I need to remodel, and if every day that's vacant, you're going to cost a lot of money. So you're going to pick the first contractor. The first contractor is going to know, and they're going to scam you, right? In a sense, charge you more than they should be.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
scary
possible.
too.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go by referrals
It's more
too,
risky.
right? It is, and if you go by referrals, it helps a little bit too, because now you've seen maybe one of your friends, family has done a project, and they work with this guy, and they trust him in a sense, but you still got to do your own due diligence that you can work with them. That matters too a lot, and the reputation, and hopefully Yelp reviews help a lot too. If you find good ones who can give you fair pricing, and get a couple prices, and look online too, like, hey, what's the example price in my area to do a remodel? In our area, bathrooms alone are 15 to 25,000 per bathroom.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I still don't.
Wow.
Most people in California nowadays are starting to look at places like Baltimore, because that's just, we're not paying that for a bathroom. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
Not here.
No.
Yeah. The work is the same, but I know the cost went up, everything went up. But like, for example, a bathroom takes 7 days to do it. So 7,000 sounds about fair, for example. But we know in the Bay Area it's about 15, 25. But those guys are charging 25 for a 5x8. I'm like, why are you charging 25? That's just the cost right now, and people will pay for it. I'm like, damn, that's the demand, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's closer to what we would do, more like 7,500 all in. With the
that's
tile.
fair. That's fair. And I know material goes up and down, but hey, the owner's still paying for all the materials on top of it, not the rough end, and you're still going to charge me 25 or something. Yeah. So going to Baltimore, going to other cities helps a lot too, because now you can invest out of state, right?
Yep.
But talking about that too, how do you use other people's money to invest in real estate?
Yeah, so it's all about how you structure the deal. And so we've been very creative with how we structure deals. Our very first deal, we actually worked with a nonprofit lender to get the funding for the renovation. It was a $120,000 renovation on our first deal. And so that set the foundation for being creative on how we have that audacity to ask when it comes to getting access to funding. And also, how we set the stage for being creative on future deals. So we've done nonprofit lending, we've done seller financing, we've put together subject to deals, we've put together a little bit of everything.
Hard money, private financing. I mean, you name it, we've probably done.
Yeah.
Wow, that is nice, because I don't think most buyers will intentionally want to ask, because they don't know. Like, why would a seller want to finance it? Don't they want their money and run away? Why would they want to finance you? Or why does a nonprofit want to finance you? Why does hard money? I get it. And then there's different kind of hard money lenders too, in different point systems, right? How do you know who to use, and how do you know to ask?
Yeah, so we talk about financing and different financing options as tools in your financial tool belt, right? So there's going to be a specific time when you use a hammer versus when you're using a wrench. And so that's the same way we kind of think about the different options with creative financing. And so with a seller, for example, someone who owns a property free and clear, and really just needs the money because they want steady income. They don't want to deal with the property anymore. And they used to have a tenant. Well, they're already used to getting monthly payments. It's a natural conversation to say, okay, well, rather than, we blow the bank and now you have to, pay all these capital gains, you have to do all of these things. What if I pay you, $1,000 a month for the next 100 months versus giving you $100,000 cash right now? What are your goals as a seller, and how can I solve them while also making sure that the deal works for me? And so that's kind of how we frame those discussions. And then when it comes to things like, what kind of hard money lender, type of other lender, we let the numbers help make those decisions, as well as our exit strategy. So a hard money lender that's going to charge me, 6 points and 18%. I have to have the loan paid off, the term 6 months. That's not going to work on a project where I'm doing a vacant house in Baltimore that's like a front wall with a tree growing up the middle. And the construction's going up higher, so I can't pay, those types of numbers to be able to get in and get out, right? So there's different types of lenders with different terms that fit better for deals than they do others. So we try to really focus on what are our numbers, what is our goal and our exit strategy, and then backing into what's going to be the best tool in our financial tool belt to get that done.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's say a mentee wants to start getting in real estate, but they don't really have that much money. How do they start learning of all these different financial options, and who do they talk to, and how do they meet them?
Yeah.
Like, come talk to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a benefit of one thing that's really great about how we have our structure with how we mentor folks is that our mentorship is focused on investing in real estate in Baltimore. So I know a lot of people talk about investing in real estate in general, which is great. But we get really, really specific into the Baltimore market. So we can talk about, who the lenders are on the ground, who the contractors are that we know, who are the inspectors, who, really get into it, literally screen shares of filing permits so that folks, when they're coming in, especially if they don't have an unlimited source of funds, they can focus those funds on their goals and accomplishing them versus kind of running around trying to do a whole lot of things that don't quite make sense. But also be able to learn again from our mistakes and our successes on how we've been able to structure things and grow so that they can do so much better. But outside of that, there's, we have a YouTube channel that we share a lot of information on, and there's tons of information out there to set at least the foundation of understanding. But when it's time to take action in Baltimore, usually folks end up knocking on our door to make that happen.
That's a good point because everything you can find everything online, but to really take the next step is really to have a mentor or coach guide you through the process, because what you see online is not the full details, because there's so many hours behind the scenes to really understand everything financially, just regarding the vesting, the contracting, all the work involved, and then at the end the exit strategy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And the landscape's constantly changing everywhere, right? Like new rules, new laws, new regulations, new processes, new people. So you really want somebody who's still in the game, who's still doing it actively every single day, who's fully aware of what's going on and can share that information.
Yeah.
That's very true. And then, for example, that's the part of it. And then when they start doing it and then getting comfortable with it and learning more, then they can keep building that wealth. The first couple of deals, always the hardest deals ever to take place because you haven't done it yet. When you go with someone else who has done it, then it's so much smoother, so much faster. You don't have to go through all the hard knocks to get there. And then you can hopefully grow and make money at the same time with them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Most of our mentees are buying property in less than 6 months. So they come in, get that first deal in and done. And then by the end of the year, they've done a couple of deals by then. Like we have quite a few people that come in with no properties and end their year with double-digit portfolios as number of doors, which is awesome because they focus on, let me work out the kinks early on. I'll leverage you guys as I'm going through that process. And then it's kind of the training wheels are off and everyone's just running to hit their goals and help us impact the community. Like our big goal is 2,400 doors in the next 4 years with our mentees. And so really making sure that we're setting that foundation of understanding and empowering them with information and resources in order to make that happen.
That's really cool because when you start working with especially all the lenders, vendors out there, contractors, and you're building a community and they know that they want to work with you and empower you and also help refer other people to be a part of that process of improving the communities in general and the buildings. So that's nice because you're really creating like an ecosystem, right? Like a platform for them.
Absolutely.
Do people talk about like, hey, you're gentrifying the neighborhoods, you're raising the rents, you're changing everything up here. It's not the same as it before, but you guys believe in community, but do people feel that way? Or ask?
Yeah, so I think that that's a natural first thought, right? That's a natural first conversation is around gentrification. Like if you're renovating these properties, if you're going into these neighborhoods, you're going to spur gentrification. And so there's a few parts to that, right? One is the definition of gentrification is raising the standards of a community to middle class, right? We all like fresh food in grocery stores. We all like to walk our dogs and we all like to ride our bikes in bike lanes. So that isn't necessarily the issue. The issue is more so displacement. And so something that there's a few issues, but displacement being one of the big ones. And so our model on how we think about and how we actually take action in real estate is how we're able to embed the community with what we're doing. Like what is the goals of the current residents and how do we help support that goal and mission? And then also, how do we fit in affordable housing with what we're doing? So if we're flipping a house that's market rate, we're usually doing an affordable housing project with a nonprofit within the same neighborhood, within the same space, so that we're creating that balance and holding space for new life and new folks to come in who want to be part of these communities and integrate within the communities that are already there, but also making sure we're holding space for home ownership and rental properties to be affordable in the same neighborhoods.
Yep.
That's really good too, because most people either stick with one side or other. They don't really say, "I'll try to do both," unless you're a developer. You know, requirement wise, but most people just stick with that. They focus on just growing their own portfolios rather than helping the community and creating affordable housing. Especially that's challenging too, because you get the certain requirements for that, and to be able to do both is really cool. And that's a really great mission too, because it shows that the care in the community and you're building it, and people will definitely want to be a part of that more so.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. And it's all collaborative effort, right? And so obviously there's two of us, so we're able to do a little bit more in a day than most people, but also being able to collaborate and work with organizations who have been on the ground forever, who've been doing great work forever, and just really needed someone and people who understood their mission and also had the expertise to be able to come together and do amazing things. So we've been really excited and humbled to be part of that journey in Baltimore with some of the big affordable housing projects that Baltimore has underway right now.
And when we say affordable housing projects, it's not just rental, it's home ownership.
Home ownership, yeah.
Right? So being able to provide permanent, like affordable home ownership opportunities where the market rate may be $200,000, $250,000, and we're providing houses at 130, 150, and subsidizing those with different grants and different opportunities to make sure that the numbers work, so that the contractors are still happy, but the mortgage is cut in half, right? They're paying substantially less than what they would for their mortgage compared to what they were paying renting in the same area.
Yep.
So making sure that, and it takes a little longer to your point, it's a little more cumbersome, it's tough. But it's important to us.
Yeah, and they get the same exact finishes of our market rate housing, so that's always great too.
They still have the island. They still have a porch. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah,
high quality. It'll last well into the centuries from now, type of thing. But yeah, it's something that we're certainly passionate about. It makes us both smile.
I like that because like for example, there's not enough housing, period, right? So to be able to build affordable housing and market rate housing is great. And then when you're changing community landscape, you're giving people who can't necessarily afford it homes that they can get now as owners or as renters, and being able to create that community for them too. I'm sure when you walk around the block, people see you, they're going to be like really say hi and be really appreciative because you're helping create a real community and not just people who do displacements, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're not just coming in and cashing out. We get really invested in the whole neighborhood.
Yep.
Exactly. And that speaks about generational wealth and opportunity and just community, right?
Exactly.
Changing for better for your family, for everyone else's family, and it just builds upon each other. And people see that, they want to join in and do it with you and for themselves, right?
Absolutely.
That's a lot of work. How do you even get all that stuff done with you two and Michaela?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a whole team.
No, we do. We have a whole team. Having the construction company is great. Charm City Buyers. We have quite a few people that work with us and alongside us as part of our team as we've grown, because it's tough to be able to do all of the big initiatives and things that we want to accomplish and still manage the day-to-day of running a business. And so we have like the best team out there to support everything that we're looking to do and accomplish.
And we still have to find time to be married, right? To be together, to be a family, to go for walks, to go and have fun and play sports and sporting events and stuff like that.
And have more babies.
So we make sure that we are we're well supported. Our W-2 employees are fantastic. The rest of our team members, our contractors, et cetera, they're all fantastic. So we're excited and moving forward.
It's crazy how you guys get so much done too, because it shows how well you guys work together, but also at the same time how well you can get so many things done, because most people in the day-to-day life can't get nearly as much done as you guys are doing. And building a team, building trust, building community, having your own general contracting team in-house as well, and then also you guys do some housing development with the mayor, right? That's a lot, and you have family and kids.
Yeah. So because of the work we're doing and because of the passion and because of community focus, we've been invited to different tables, which allows us to, again, share more and lift as we climb for folks who are like-minded, community-centered, and passionate about positive change. Yeah. So recently we were excited to join the mayor's housing committee, transition committee rather, for housing and neighborhood development, and be able to just kind of share our expertise be able to share our wisdom, the things that we're seeing as we're in the trenches, and other people within that committee sharing their expertise. It's about 20 to 30 of us, nonprofit, for-profit, realtors, developers, community members, political folks, a little bit of everything, coming together around the table and saying, okay, well, a Zoom table because of everything going on, and saying, okay, how do we and what do we prioritize to make Baltimore a better place?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool because you built an amazing audience, a collaborative community, and you're able to get involved now at a higher level than normal investors. You're going into different development projects. You're working with investors, developers, the mayor, housing, community, and you're making a big impact. That's kind of cool because most people don't make big impacts, right, directly to improve the community. That's a lot of work and a lot of fun too. Like you can see the energy you guys have. It's just like radiant, right? So people will see that and they're attracted to working with you. And people out there who are listening see that and they're like, wow, I want to work on that. I want to be part of that, and I want to invest with you too. How do you have mentees and everything, but do you have passive investors as well as active investors? Do you JV partnership deals? What do you guys do to work with people?
Yeah, so we definitely, to your point, right? We take a lot of things on, and so currently we've been really focused on our mentees and our portfolio and our businesses. As far as kind of JVs and private, we don't do a lot of JVs. We have a big project that we're going to be announcing coming up real soon, where we are working with another developer. But outside of that, we have been there will be more information coming out about how to invest with us and through us. And so we're putting something together that we hope to announce by the fall for all the people who reach out to us every single day, looking to say, how do I support you guys' mission by allowing you to, lending some money or providing some equity in your deals. And so this fall will be providing that opportunity and opening up the doors to work with more folks to support the projects that we're working on.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun too, because now it's different. Like you talk about other people's money and being able to provide and join in on it, and they feel the impact as well now, because when they're joining in and getting equity partners, any kind of splits in any way, any fashion or form, that you get the word out faster, and as you keep growing and building, more and more people will want to join you and do it even at a greater level, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's so weird to be turning money down all the time, right? And so we really
it's a good problem to have, right?
It is a good problem to have. You're right.
It's a great problem to have, and so we really want to be able to bring people along the journey with us and empower more people to do great work and to be part of something bigger than ourselves. I think a lot of us are really just looking to be part of something bigger than ourselves and build a legacy that's going to last way beyond us. And so we want to help create that vehicle to do exactly that with us in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Very nice. So going back to the mentee program, tell us about the mentee program. What is that about?
Yeah, so that's the Next Gen Accelerator. And so our Next Gen Accelerator is focused on getting started in scaling in real estate in Baltimore. And so that's when we're able to guide folks through the mental aspect of investing, how you find contractors and find great deals and understand neighborhoods in a city that's block to block, and, go through it really soup to nuts on how to invest in real estate in Baltimore, but even beyond that, kind of taking it out of just the theory of getting all this stuff done, but really supporting folks for a year on the practice. And so being able to get coaching from us directly, from our team directly, connecting people with lenders and agents and deals and all of these different pieces to really help guide along the way of having an idea or a concept to either start in real estate or growing a substantial portfolio to actually getting it done. And we have people who have gone from, 0 to 10 in a year to 0 to 22 occupied units in 18 months, and really just being able to focus on, and people who, buy 2 or 3 because that's what they want to do, but really guide people through that process and honing in on what are your goals, what are you looking to accomplish, and then how to create a plan in order to do exactly that. The same thing that we did when we got started. That's the foundation of what we do with our mentees. So that's the Next Gen Accelerator. Through that, we plan on doing that 2,400 doors in the next 4 years with and through our mentees. and be able to really change the narrative on what development and progress from a real estate perspective looks like in a city like Baltimore.
Nice. I love it. That's a really good goal, and that's puts a big strong purpose in mind. And I'm sure all your mentees want to hit it with you because they want to help you and themselves reach that goal and just be a part of it. And it'll be a lot of fun. And you have to have a big celebration when you hit that number, you know?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we love to have a good party. So I'm sure we'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll be there really soon because when you set that goal there, people will push you to get there easily.
Absolutely.
So what's one of the most important lessons that you would tell a new investor, someone who wants to join in, or just a new investor anywhere right now? It's already half the year 2021 and some people have been lagging, right? What can they do to get started and really move?
Yeah, the first thing I would tell somebody is to jump, right? Take that leap of faith. Understand that it's not going to be easy. It's an uphill battle at first, but it'll be so worth it. So just jump, be patient with yourself, learn as you go, and surround yourself with people who want to see you win.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Like your circle, your environment, I think is really important. Surrounding yourself with people who have either been where you're trying to get to or headed where you're trying to go can be transformational in that process of going along your own journey. And so I would say, get in the room, invest in yourself, make sure you're getting and surrounding yourself with people like that so that you are normalizing what your goals are so that you can shoot even further into, accomplishing the huge impacts that we're meant to make.
Yep.
Nice. So, like, for example, going to real estate association events, going to meetups, going to anything about real estate, any type that you want, single family, multifamily, fix and flips, wholesaling. The more you're in the door, listening, learning, talking to people, networking, meeting different vendors, the more comfortable you'll be, the more questions you hear, the more answers you hear and get, the more that you'll be fast. You'll accelerate yourself faster. And once you find the right team of people, you just got to jump and go for it, right?
Exactly.
Pretty much what it is really entails. And the hard part is just taking the first step. And if your friends and family are not there with you, doesn't matter. Like you guys just said, just go at it, go alone, go with the partner, and just make it happen, right?
Exactly. Yep. Consistent action. That's what it's all about. Might be small actions, but make sure you're doing something every single day to help push you towards your goals.
Perfect. Exactly. I was thinking. So how do people reach out to you, and then how can they get started working with you guys?
Yeah, so you can find us at charmcitybuyers.com or on Instagram is at charmcitybuyers. We're actually at charmcitybuyers everywhere. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel. So you can find us Charm City Buyers on YouTube as well.
Yep.
Nice. Look forward to hearing more from you guys and then creating some future events, talk about different parts of real estate and, invite an audience to online events, physical events. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being on the show. Learned a lot and I'm glad to have everyone, take a part of it. Make sure you listen twice and really take a first step to do that. So for everyone out there, be sure to listen to Truth About Real Estate, our podcast on YouTube and Apple, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.